Hare Krishna Mataji's.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Veena Mataji, I'll be making the announcement at 7:45. Please wait until then. And Jay Mataji, would you like to do the kirtan, please, tonight? Thank you.
Yes, yeah. I'll start. And yeah, you can all join as well. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna. Veena Mataji, please join in.
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe Jaya. Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very nice Kirtan Mataji. Thank you. So today's reciters are Sri Lalita Susevani Mataji in Sanskrit and Veena Mataji in English, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, verses 34 to 38. At 8:40, we'll be having a very nice bhajan called Kevala Ashtakam, sung by Himani Radha Mataji and translated by Shyam Govinda Prabhuji. To start us off, can I invite Sri Lalita Susevani Mataji to please start with the Om Namo Bhagavate invocation, please. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I think Mataji has not joined, so can I ask Kirtida Dulali Mataji to please start? Thank you. Jai Mataji, can you start, please? Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll stop when she comes, maybe. Teshu Ashanteshu Mudeshu Khanditatmashu Sadhusu Sangam na Kuriyaj Chocheshu Yoshit Krida Mrugeshu cha.
Translation: one should not associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization and who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman.
Na tathasya bhaven moho bandhaschanya prasangatah yoshit sangad yatha pumso yatha tat sangi sangatah.
The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women.
Prajapati swam duhitaram društva tadrupa darshitah rohit bhutam so anvadhavad ruksharupi hatatrapah.
At the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a hind.
Tat shrushta shrushta shrushteshu konu akhandita dhiha puman rishim narayanam rutte yoshin mayeha mayaya.
Amongst all kinds of living entities begotten by Brahma, namely men, demigods, and animals, none but the sage Narayana is immune to the attraction of Maya in the form of women.
Balam me pashya mayayaha strimaya jaino disham ya karoti padakrantan Bhruvi Jrumbena Kevalam.
Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip.
Sangam na kuriyat pramadasu jatu yogasya param param arurukshu mat sevaya pratilabdhatma labho vadanti ya niraya dvaram asya.
One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga has realized himself by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee.
Yopayati shanirmaya yoshid deva vinarmita tam ikshetatmano mrutyum tranaiha kupam ivavrutam.
The woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass.
Yam manyate pattin mohan manmayam rushabhayatim त्रित्वं स्त्रीसङ्गतः प्राप्तो विताप्तय गृहप्रदम्.
A living entity who, as a result of attachment to a woman in his previous life, has been endowed with the woman, or with the form of a woman, foolishly looks upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets.
Tam atmano vijaniyat patyapatya gruhatmakam deivopasaditam mrutyum mrugyor gayanam yatha.
A woman, therefore, should consider her husband, her house, and her children to be the arrangement of the external energy of the Lord for her death, just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer.
Dehena jiva bhutena lokalokam anuvrajan bhunjana eva karmani karoti aviratam puman.
Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wanders from one planet to another, following fruitive activities. In this way, he involves himself in fruitive activities and enjoys the result of incessantly.
Jivo asyanugo deho bhutendriya manomayaha tannirodhosya maranam avirbhavastu sambhavaha.
In this way, the living entity gets a suitable body with a material mind and senses according to his fruitive activities. When the reaction of his particular activity comes to an end, that end is called death. And when a particular type of reaction begins, that beginning is called birth.
Dravyopalabdhi sthanasya dravye kshaya yogyata yada tatpancha tvam aham manad utpatir dravya darshanam. Yathakšnor dravya vayava darshanayogyatat yada tadeva chakshusho drashtur drashtva ayogyata anyayoho.
When the eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid affliction of the optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity, who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight, loses his power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where perception of objects occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, that is called birth.
Tasman karyah santraso na karpanyam na sambramah buddhava jiva gatim dhiro mukta sangascharediha.
Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose.
Samyak darshanaya buddhya yoga vairagya yuktaya maya virachite loke charanyasya kalevaram.
Endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude towards material identity, one should relegate his body to this illusionary world through his reason. Thus, one can be unconcerned with this material world.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much for the beautiful recitations, Mataji. It's really nice.
Sorry
Hare
for-
Krishna. Over
Thank
to
you.
Krishna Govinda Prabhuji now. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai Hare Krishna. So beautifully recited. Thank you very much to Ganu Mataji and also to Jai Mataji for the Sanskrit. Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Krishna Govinda Das. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you and welcome to all of you for joining in tonight's chat class, 2nd of August, 2026. We'll be reading, it's going to be a summary actually for chapter 31 from Canto 3, the status quo, Lord Kapila's instructions on the movements of the living entities. Yeah, I just shared the screen. I just forgot to share. Let me know that you can see this and hear me as well at the same time.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotanam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamadiraye Tashthaishu Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatam Mutam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtike. Going to be recited the Mangalacharan prayers to join in. Sorry, that's my daily darshan of Lord Shishir Radhadanishwar. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakara Mayam Tadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurur Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Bhagavatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shivishakamitam Sha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishamana Sata Devi Pradamami Hari Priye Manchakapatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya cha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Swami, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Vishnu Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Swami Tinamane, and to his founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Vishnu Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayane, Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschatya Desatayane. I'd also like to pray for all of you to give me your blessings so I can speak on something wonderful on the glorious topics from the Srimad Bhagavatam. May it be truthful, pleasing, and beneficial. Thank you. So, chapter 31 it covers a lot of the information or instructions Lord Kapila passes to Mother Devahuti. In this particular chapter, he's speaking specifically about the semen, which is passed from the male organ to the female organ, and then how it develops into a small embryo. And from the first few verses, where it mentions about how the embryo develops in the womb of the mother itself. During the first night, the sperm and the ovum mix together. The fifth night, the mixture ferments into a bubble. And the 10th night, it forms into like a plum-size product, and then it gradually builds up into a lump of flesh or an egg. But during the course of the time, it changes its body and its shape. During the first month, the head is formed. During the second month, the hands, feet, and other limbs are taking shape. By the end of the third month, the nails, fingers, toes, body, hair, bones, and skin appear, as do the organ of generation and the other apertures of the body. And in this case, the different forms of the body, which actually you can see or hear, smell, taste, touch, etc., like in the form of eyes, nostrils, ears, mouth, and anus, take place within the little embryo. Then after the fourth month of conception, the different parts of the body builds into developing blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, and semen itself comes into existence. And at this time, in the fifth month, then it starts having the elements of hunger, has the elements of thirst taking place within itself. And then during this time, it starts moving in the abdomen itself. And normally, for a mother who's taken sort of some scans of the little embryo within the womb, they can see how the different fetus is developing in size as you progress on the scanning stages for the health and well-being of the child itself. And you can see the different organs. You can even see the heart beating as well. And during that time, at a particular period of the formation of the fetus in the womb, you can see what sex organs it has, and if the nurses may tell you if it's a male or a female, but generally they don't always tell you because sometimes certain particular faiths, they feel that having a woman is not very, very good for the legacy of the family. So they refrain from telling exactly what the gender of the child is. But during that time, as it develops a need for hunger, there's a particular cord, the umbilical cord, which is called apayani, which actually grows from the mother's intestines to the child's navel itself. And from this umbilical cord, the child actually develops or takes all the nutrition and food taken by the mother itself. And then it grows into a certain place. But that place, it's actually inside the womb, is full of stool and urine. It's also kind of breeding place for the worms as well. And during that time, the child is being bitten again and again, and it develops this fear, this constantly suffering, is in agony, because by nature the embryo is very soft and it's very delicate itself. So the worms, while it's biting the child, is constantly thinking about his terrible condition. But at the same time, when the mother is actually eating certain food, which is supposed to be prohibitive in terms of like the growth of the child itself, sometimes the mother may be eating something which is very bitter, very pungent, very, very spicy, very salty, something which is sour. When the nutrition is passed on in the umbilical cord to the child, it unnecessarily suffers pains and it's almost intolerable as well. And during this time, it tries to toss around within the womb itself, kicks its legs around, and it actually feels like a bird in a cage, and it doesn't have any freedom of movement whatsoever. And during this time, it starts remembering all its past 100 births, and it grieves in such a way that what is the reason for me being in this horrible, torrid situation? Why am I being tortured in such a way? While it remembers its past 100 life, it's actually thinking, what is there in life itself? And then it develops a certain level of consciousness by the arrangement of the Paramatma, which is seated in the hearts of every living entities. The child starts thinking in an intellectual way. I've been being born in this cycle of birth and death. I've been going through different species of life. As we know, there's 8,400,000 species of life. And every time I take birth, there's old age, there's disease, then ultimately death. I'm going through this cycle. I've been bitten by worms. I've been taking the nutrition from my mother, which is salty, pungent, spicy, and why am I suffering in this kind of situation? Then it develops that intelligence, then it starts praying with folded hands because it's in that frightful condition situation. He prays to the Lord, my dear Lord, let me take shelter of your lotus feet. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this way, he tries to remember his past lives in such a way that why did I waste my life in my previous life? Why did I not surrender to this Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the protector of every living entity? By his mercy, we can free ourselves from the cycle of birth and death. While he's praying, he offers his respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord. And inside his heart, he feels repentant. He feels very, he feels that he's wasted his life away. He feels that he's been in a situation that is separated from the Supreme Lord because he sees the conditioning situation of his mature life being constantly tossed around, going through agony, being hurt in different ways, being cheated, being used, being broken-hearted in different ways, suffering the pains of material bodies, depending on what body he has. As we understand from the Bhagavad Gita, whatever state of being one remembers at the time of death, that state he will attain without fail. But at the same time, the Lord, being so merciful, he also gives assurance to the devotees of the Lord. If one at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, taints my nature. Of this, there is no doubt. And this is what the Supreme Lord wants us to do. He wants us to remember him. He wants us to glorify him in a way that we can go back to the spiritual world. Just like Gopakumar, he goes through different stages of his life, his journey. He goes through different levels of different spiritual kingdoms. He's still not satisfied until he goes to the spiritual Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna is crying in sort of feeling, happiness that Gopakumar, I've been waiting for you and waiting for you. And that's how he is waiting for us as well. He wants us to come back to the spiritual world. He wants us to enjoy, become his friend, play with him, be with him, feed him, tease him. He wants to do the same with all of you as well. And that is our purpose in life. Although we want to perform devotional service, what is the purpose of that devotional service? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord. By hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, we free ourselves from this material bondage of birth, death, old age, and disease. What is it that we want to do? We want to purify our senses. We want to purify our mind. We want to purify our intelligence in such a way that we're always considering, remembering me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one is in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and is so engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. And that's what the Supreme Lord wants us to do. It's not that he is in need of anything at all. He's not in need of any food as an offering. He's not in need of us chanting his holy name. He's not in need of any material objects that may please him in any way. He just wants our love. He wants our devotion. He's not envious of anyone at all. I envy no one. I'm equal to all. I am partial to no one. But whosoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend unto me, and I am a friend to him. The Supreme Lord is not in need of anything. Even though he created this material world, he is not questionable to anything that goes in the material world. He has his agents, he has his demigods, he has his representatives taking care of all the material worlds. And there isn't one universe, there's millions and millions of universes. They consider this particular universe like a tiny little mustard seed in a bag full of millions and millions of mustard seeds itself. When you see within this universe itself, there's millions and millions of planets. Within this millions of planets, there's one solar system. Within the solar system, there's one planet Earth. With this planet Earth, you see a continent, you see a country, you see a town, you see a village, you see a house. And this is the insignificance of ourselves in comparison to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as a child within the body, once it's going through this grievous stage of suffering because it's been bitten by the worms in the womb, he's remembering all his past misdeeds. He sort of reconciles, why have I done this horrible deeds of activities in my previous life? Why have I been so materially attached to the material body? Why have I always ignored the pleas of spiritual level or spiritual journey? Why have I not freed myself from all these difficulties in my life? So in this way, due to his forgetfulness, he develops a relationship within the womb itself, and he again engages in transcendental service of the Lord. So the Supreme Lord, by his ability, he gives the Paramatma, the Super Soul, or the Jivatma within every living entity. He gives that ability, although he's situated in the hearts of every living entity, by him comes forgetfulness, by him comes remembrance, by him comes knowledge. But by knowledge, we try and remember, why is it that we've been put in this material world? We should be asking questions to ourselves. Who are we? Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? What is the aim of life? What is this spiritual energy? What is the superior energy? What is the spiritual energy? And here in text 16, he mentions that no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a localized Paramatma, the partial representation of the Lord, is directed all animate and inanimate and animate objects. So he is actually present in three phases of time: past, present, and future. So just want to share this particular verse with all of you. 555.62 from Brahma Samhita. The translation goes, "O listen, O Vidhi, I am the seed, the fundamental principle of this world of animate and inanimate object. I am Pradhana, the substance of matter. I am Prakriti, material cause, and I am Purusha, inefficient cause. This very energy that belongs especially to the Brahman that inheres in you has also been conferred by me. It is by bearing this fiery energy that you regulate this phenomenal world of animate and inanimate objects." So you can actually mention that although he's a seed, it's also the fundamental principle of this world of both animate. Animate referring to animate objects which have consciousness. Inanimate objects could be something, could be of material energy, could be like a stone, could be like a cut piece of wood or something like that. Within each piece, although there is a molecule, Supreme Personality of God still resides in that molecule as well. So just going on to the different verses as mentioned in this particular chapter 31. So further on one of the verses, it mentions about while it's actually suffering in this particular womb, it's praying constantly to the Supreme Lord, please, 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 let me be free from this material birth of old age, disease, and death. Let me surrender unto your lotus feet. And in this way, Srila Prabhupada, in one of the Prabhupada, gives an example like when a woman gives birth to a child, the pain is very excruciating. She suffers tremendously as she gives birth, and also keeping the baby in the womb for 9 months. There's many restrictions in her life. And once she's had the baby, she thinks to herself, I'm not going to go through this ever again, And I can see, even in the case of my wife, she actually, probably like all mothers, they go through a very tormenting time when giving birth to a child. It's not easy whatsoever. And similarly, a person who may go through difficulty in his life, he may go through a dangerous situation, or even say somebody who's gone into prison, they may say, why am I doing this? Why have I got myself into a difficult situation? Why have I gone into prison? Why have I come across some dangerous situation? I will never ever do this ever again. But when a person comes out of this danger, is back to his normal state and thinking, well, one more time, it's not going to cause any harm. if a prisoner is free from a prison situation, even though he suffered so much, he thinks to himself, well, let me do it again. I'll be a bit more careful. Similarly, the soul, although we're trying to free ourselves from this suffering situation, we want to free ourselves from this 8,400,000 species of life. We want to free ourselves from this repeated agony of suffering again and again. We pray to the Lord. But once the Lord gives us that opportunity, when a child is grown, when it's born, it develops a certain sort of desire to have certain things in its life, mature attachment, toys, as it grows up, prestige, fame, wealth. It wants friends, it wants association with women, it wants association with men, it wants some prestige, some status in his job. Then he forgets the suffering that he went through in his previous life, forgets the suffering in the womb, even though he prayed. Now, can you imagine all of us? Because this is a Srimad Bhagavatam, this is written by Vyasadeva, who's a literal incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's not some sort of mundane sort of words put together just to put us off. When we see the fifth canto in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it mentions a lot about the hellish worlds. And it's not just to frighten us, it's reality. It is actually there. It actually tells you, if you're doing certain sinful reactions, then after death, you go to Yamaraj and you suffer the consequences, whether it's in the sort of situation in the hellish worlds or being born back again in a family of pious family. So then it goes on. When I mentioned earlier on, we got to ask ourselves, who are we? Why are we here? How can we get ourselves from this material bondage of material entanglement? Then we take shelter of the lotus feet. And it mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, there's 4 types of people who pray to the Supreme Lord, 4 types of pious devotees, those who are in distress, and we're always in distress. So the moment we're born, or even before we're born, we're in distress. When we're born as a child, we're crying, we're lamenting, we're wanting our mother to look after us, our father to protect us. When we're at school, we're bullied, we're in distress, we got homework, we're in distress. We want something which we don't have and other children have, we're in distress, and we're constantly doing tantrums to our parents, want this, want that. When we get married, we're in distress, because of the pains of married life is also there. It may be a life of infatuation at the beginning stages, maybe a feeling of love, but that love constantly fades away slowly, because there's unnecessary arguments with your partner. I want this house, I want this car, I want this property, I want this, I want that. And we're constantly fulfilling our material needs all the time. We're in distress at the time when we grow older, old age. We have poor health. We have certain distresses that we have to take duty and care of. Our own children, they're going through difficulty. Sometimes when our children suffer, the parents suffer as well. So we're always in that difficult situation. Then we're also praying to the Supreme Lord. We want some sort of wealth as well. We want prestige, we want fame, we want glorification. Then there's those pious people who pray to the Supreme Lord. They're inquisitive. They see the material world. They see, how is it this material world, this phenomenal world, how is it come about? It can't come by some chemicals mixing together by chance, and this mighty creation has sprung with its rivers, mountains, sky, land, beautiful facilities that the Supreme Lord has given us, every type of fruits that you could possibly think of, vegetation, herbs, spices, vegetables, all kinds of things that the Supreme Lord has provided us, the air, the sun, the moon, the light, everything. Then we become inquisitive about how this creation has been come about. And then there's those who sort of searching for the absolute truth. They can understand they're beyond the level of stress, they're beyond this level of desiring some material opulence. So then they want to delve further and deeply into understanding who the absolute truth is. As we pray to the Supreme Lord, so as the child constantly prays to the Supreme Lord, was to free ourselves from this difficulty. So in our previous chapters of Chad, I mentioned about King Kulasheka. Just to make it slightly interactive, Do you recall what King Kulasheka was saying to the Supreme Lord? What prayers was he saying to the Supreme Lord? Okay, just to remind you, Kulasheka was saying, let my mind, sort of my mind actually be focused or be attached to the stem of your lotus feet. Why does he call it swan of the mind? Because the swan by nature is very beautiful. It's a beautiful creature. When it's in the water, it goes deep into the stems of the lotus, even though it may be murky or dirty, but yet still the stem is considered to be very sweet and nectarian for this one itself. And it has the ability to differentiate between the milky water and the unwanted water as it saps through the water itself. So the swan of the mind, Lord King Kulasheka is actually thinking, while my mind is free from all these anxieties, while my mind is healthy, while my mind is actually thinking of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, let me constantly be engaged in that loving relationship. Let me end my life in a way that I can always think of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, what would happen when I become old, when I have bile, when I have mucus, when I have stool coming out unnecessarily, all these poor, bad qualities of the body, the five elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, loses its ability. We lose our memory, we lose our intelligence, we lose our eyesight as we progress on in our journey from old age, to ultimately death. Then we're actually thinking, why not let my mind, which is engaged in the Supreme Lord, let me completely surrender myself unto the Supreme Lord. So that's King Kulasheka's prayers, and that's what we should be praying as well. Because all of you at one stage have become very sick in your life, you become very ill, you become burdened with certain diseases. You've probably been into a stage of being on the deathbed as well by an accident. Sadly, it hasn't been the case for any of you, but we will be facing all that. Many times, like on Ekadashi, there's a feeling of the pangs of hunger in our mind. But do we actually think of food? No, we try and persevere. We try and think of Krishna. We try and think of his lotus feet. When you're ill, it's very, very difficult to think of the Supreme Lord. It's very difficult to chant your 16 rounds. But this is a time when you're actually invalid. This is a test that we should be all facing. How can I actually remember the Lord when I'm having these difficulties? It's so easy to go to sleep and thinking, oh, maybe taking some rest will actually free myself from that distressful situation. We're all in that distressful situation in our life. This situation that we've all faced, challenges. We lost our loved ones, and we're constantly praying and praying in a distressful situation. But it's better to pray in a distressful situation rather than not, because after all, the Lord did say, 4 pious of devotees surrender unto me, those in distress, those who desire wealth, those who are inquisitive, those who are searching for the absolute truth. So as it goes on, the child is being born, it actually wants some prestigious situation. And I mentioned about Queen Kunti as well. So Queen Kunti, she sees her wealth as a danger. Does anybody know why she sees her wealth as a danger to her?
Because then she'll forget Krishna.
Yes. Specifically, when you have wealth, what happens? When you have wealth, there's a feeling of superiority. There's a feeling of, I am more superior than others. I have wealth, I have money, I have prestige. People respect me because I'm famous. People respect me because I've got a lot of money. People respect me because I have the ability to have power because of my wealth. And you see a lot of prestigious people who have a lot of wealth, they're very proud of their nature. They've become very, very subordinate to anybody else. They feel they're independent. They feel that they have no need of anything at all. Everything that they have, like all your $5 bills, that's no problem at all for them at all, because they've got hundreds of thousands of dollar bills. But what happens to them at the end of their lifetime? They use up all their piety, they use up all the credit, they use up all the ability of that prestigious situation they've been in because of their previous life. And in the next life, they start their journey back again. Because if you waste your money, if you utilize your money in a wrong way, if you don't actually use it for spiritual benefit or helping others, it may be a form of philanthropical service, but still there is a need for understanding that you've got this money, this wealth, but you use this. And in the case of Queen Kunti, not only did she have wealth, she had a kingdom, she had prestige, she had royalty, but it was all taken away. But she prayed to Lord Krishna again and again. This wealth was actually my danger. But now let me think of you, my Lord. Let me always think of you, even though you're my nephew, you're my protector. You helped my children from all difficulties, from all dangers. She protected them while we were in exile for 14 years, while we were burnt in this wax palace made of wax, while Duryodhana committed sinful reactions or sinful activities against our daughter Draupadi. You protected her in so many ways. So Queen Kunti actually prays to the Supreme Lord. She says that there's 4 dangers in wealth, in life itself. The first is Janma. Janma, because you may have a high birth, you may be in a prestigious family like a royal family due to our past deeds in a previous life. But when you have that pious lifestyle, as I mentioned earlier on, you become very proud as well. Next is Aishwarya, which is a form of wealth, which I mentioned earlier as well. When you have wealth, then also there's a level of prestige as well. Third is Shruta, when you have knowledge, when you become a scholar, when you become very wise, full of knowledge itself, in education. It can be very good if you use it in a Krishna conscious way, but also could be the cause of your pride because you feel more knowledgeable, more sort of intelligent than other people. You'd look down upon your subordinates, thinking yourself as superior because you have this knowledge. You have the ability to design this beautiful building, prestigious, multi-story tower block itself. And when it happens, like the Titanic, they said that not even God could actually sink this particular ship. And what happens? By coincidence, in millions of thousands of miles, one iceberg happened to come traversing at a particular speed in the ocean, and the Titanic, which is considered to be unsinkable, came in another direction. And by fate, the ice scraped along the side of the Titanic, caused the metal fabrication to split open, and slowly, water started trickling in. Even though it went from one chamber to another chamber to another chamber, the Titanic slightly filled up. So when you have too much pride in knowledge and wealth, it could also be the downfall of one's life as well. Finally, Shri, we all want fame, we all want beauty, we all want to look happy in our life. We want people to say, wow, you look beautiful, you look, wonderful. But that beauty is also comes with power as well, and it could also be the cause of our destruction. Now, just moving on, verses 18, 19, and 20. So here in verses 18, he's waken up by his consciousness although it's got 10 months, in our case, in Western direction, it's 9 months. He's considered the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the friend of the fallen souls, and he expresses his gratitude towards the Supreme Lord with folded hands. And I mentioned earlier on, by the Supreme Lord is seated in the hearts of everyone. And from chapter 15, verse 15, from him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So in this case, he also wishes that he does not want to depart from the womb. He doesn't want to take birth again in the material world, although he's suffering already in the womb, but he doesn't want to suffer again. Now, which personality did want to come out the womb for so many years, and why was that? And who gave him assurance that he'll be taken care of? Is anybody?
Goswami.
Did you say Sukadev Goswami? Yes. Why did he not want to come out the womb, Jai Mataji?
He thought that he didn't want to come in contact with Maya.
Yes, very good. He didn't want to be in touch with the material world. He sees the suffering, he sees the pain, sees the anxiety, as mentioned again and again, that cycle of repeated birth and death. He didn't want to be entanglement in this material world. And even though Vyasadeva, his father, is the literal incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he tried to pacify him, but he still wouldn't come out. He stayed in the womb of his mother for 16 years. For all of us to conceive that is not possible unless you have spiritual intelligence. But of course, everything's possible by the will of the Supreme Lord. So necessarily that is growing to an age of 16 years inside the womb. You know, who knows, maybe he may be being born in the form of a child at the age of 16, but on a magical scale. But then the Supreme Lord himself pacified him and said, don't worry, you'll be purified, you'll have liberation be granted. Even before you're born, you're granted liberation. So there's a particular word in one of the verses, it's Dham Sariri. This is the body which can control the mind and the senses. So Sukadeva Goswami, once he was born, was already a liberated soul, and he detached himself from all material world. He went walking around naked. Even though he went naked, when the women who were bathing saw him, they saw him, he was a self-realized soul, and they understood. They were not disturbed by him. But when they saw his father walking past while they were bathing, they immediately tried to cover themselves up because they understood there was a level of differences between the bodily concept of Sukadeva Goswami and his own father, Vyasadeva. So, as mentioned earlier on one of the verses in the chat classes I gave, I mentioned about the working senses. The working senses superior to dull matter, and the dull matter, of course, the senses are higher than the mind. Higher than the mind is intelligence, and higher still than the mind and intelligence is the self-realized soul, the Brahmatma within the hearts of every living entity. When you become to that Brahma, Buddha, Pasanatma stage, you become self-realized, you understand who the Supreme Lord is, and that is exactly what Sukadeva Goswami was doing within the womb of his mother. And how do we do that? Mam eva ye prapadyante, as all who surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So we have to learn to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always engaged in devotional service, remembering Him without deviation. When we remember the Supreme Lord without deviation, by following the four regulated principles, by chanting 6 rounds, association with the devotees, you're not being in a situation where you're constantly devoted to serving the Lord. As we mentioned many times, Shravanam, Kirtan, and Vishnu, the 9 processes of devotional service. You know, you may not be able to do all 9 processes, but at least chanting and hearing is considered the main important aspect of our own development of our spiritual journey. And when you actually pray to the Supreme Lord, always meditating on Him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then surely we will reach the Supreme Lord. This is the Supreme Lord's own personal guarantee, His own personal promise. As all who surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. And again, so many beautiful verses from the Bhagavad Gita. But those who worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Once again, the other verse from Bhagavad Gita from Chapter Shloka. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they come to me. To show their special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with a shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So always remain sheltered for the devotee. If you haven't taken initiation, I would certainly recommend you taking that initiation. We mentioned this quite a few times. The spiritual master is the representative of the Supreme Lord. What's the verse? Sakshat Ritven, Nasabasta Shastre, Sastata Bhavyata Ivasadi. And then Yasha Prasada, Bhagavat Prasada, Yasha Prasada Nagati Katopi. By surrendering unto the Supreme Lord, you know, the spiritual master, by the grace of the spiritual master, we can attain attention or detail. By the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, one cannot make spiritual advancement. So the spiritual master is the medium. It's considered to be as good as God, because he's the confidential servant of the Lord. Therefore, by surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master through the parampara, Yad Adviti Paripratena Pariprastena Sevaya, just try to approach a bona fide spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So not just any ordinary personality, but somebody who is actually a self-realized soul. So as the child grows, develops, unfortunately, starts remembering certain material qualities, anger, then he becomes sorry, then he throws tantrum, he becomes envious, greedy, lusty, angry towards others. He develops all the material bad qualities, anger, lust, greed, pride, envy, illusion, jealousy. And he's devoid from the four main principles or four pillars that we base our spiritual Krishna consciousness on: truthfulness, mercy, cleanliness, and austerity. By truthfulness, we refrain from no gambling. By mercy, we avoid eating meat, any animal products, fish and eggs, and so forth. By cleanliness, we avoid any illicit sex as well. And by austerity, we avoid intoxications, drugs, smoking, alcohol, and that sort of things. That's not very favorable in our Krishna consciousness. By presenting ourselves, by following these four regulated principles, allows our consciousness to be more in a higher level of consciousness, to think more clearly, having a clear consciousness, I mentioned in one of the verses. By having a clear consciousness, one develops a purity of level of surrender to the Supreme Lord. By that purity, we also free ourselves from certain reactions in our spiritual life as well. And the Supreme Lord is always there to help us. Because what does he say? Savadama parichaja mamikam saranam vaja am tvam save pape pyo moksha yishyami pasuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all of reactions. Now, just going further on, as the childhood develops, it develops different kinds of distress and attains boyhood. He suffers over desires to get things he can never achieve. Due to ignorance, he becomes angry and sorry. I covered that briefly earlier on. And then again, he's subjected to repeated birth and death. And then I mentioned about truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, and austerity as well. And forgiveness, I mentioned the importance about forgiveness. It's really important to learn and develop forgiveness. It's not easy. I mentioned about in my previous verse that even a family who's had their family member murdered by some culprit and they're put away, locked away in prison. Of course, it takes a really brave person to forgive that person. Somebody who may have raped somebody, can you really forgive that person? Somebody's harmed you, somebody's stolen things from you, somebody's broken into your house, somebody's had an accident, caused an accident to you that was their fault. Could you really forgive those persons? Could you really forgive somebody who's caused you harm, killed somebody of your family member? It takes a lot of courage. And unfortunately, we harbor those feelings within our heart forever, even at the time of death, that we constantly think it again and again, because we also have attachment to our family life, attachment to our home, attachment to our car, attachment to certain things. Like if you take, for example, somebody could have an accident in a car. Somebody could say, my dear Lord, you protected me, I could have had a fatal accident. Somebody else may be thinking, my dear Lord, why has this happened? I just bought this brand new car. I'm a devotee. I pray to you. I'm, worshiping you every day. I'm giving you this. I'm, chanting my 60 rounds, following the four regulated principles. We've all been through that situation. We're always in that situation. My Lord, are you really there? And this is the test of time. So therefore, by reading the Shastra, associated with the sadhus, and constantly having constant association with Sangha, devotee like-minded people, sadhu, Sangha, Shastra, together, we can be stronger in unity. It may take a little while, because I know many devotees, sadly, who have left the movement, partly because they felt let down, partly because they've gone through difficult phases in their life, and they felt really hurt. They felt let down by Krishna. Unfortunately, there's many things that we cannot answer. Why was a child who was born to be destined to be within our family and was still born at the time of death, stillborn when it was supposed to give birth. Why is a child going through difficulty being involved in an accident? Why is a child being killed, in such a difficult way? Krishna, I do not understand this. Although we read the stories like the Pandavas, Sita Devi, Draupadi, all the difficulties that they face, the parents of Krishna himself, Devaki and Vasudeva, tortured, all the children killed, they were locked away in prison. We cannot actually understand a lot of these things, but somehow or another we just have to have complete faith in the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, there must have been a reason for this, some activities, something I may have done in my previous life. Please, please, please help me to understand. Please help me to understand, my dear Lord. And then the last part of it is where on this particular chapter is talking about, in this case, associating with a woman. In this particular verse, text 34, one should not associate with a coarse fool, who's bereft of knowledge, of a self-realization, and who's no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman. Why? Coarse fool, a sober person, a Shudra is considered somebody who is very much engaged in material activities, just wants to associate with women all the time, and is considered like a dancing dog in the hands of a woman, because a woman by its nature, sweet words, charming countenance, the beauty and everything else, causes somebody who's on the path of devotional service to fall down. So this is a very difficult subject, attachment to a woman, or women or men who are very attached to women itself. So somebody may say, why women? Why not attachment to men? It actually can work both ways as well. So even like Lord Brahma mentions about him sort of having sexual attachment or desire to his own daughter, and he became very bewildered just by her charms, and he turned himself and ran shamelessly when he transformed himself into a form of a stag, while his own daughter took the form of a hind or a female deer. And he became bewildered. And Brahma is the highest form of living entity, the first living entity. He's the person who actually goes to Lord Vishnu to ask, my dear Lord Vishnu, please come descend into the material world. These are people who are praying for you. He is that personality sitting on a lotus held by Lord Vishnu, yet he has that desire as well. And then it further mentions about all the living entities, whether it's the demigods, whether it's man, even the great rishis, the Marichi, the Manus, the father of mankind. They're also conditioned by the sexual attraction. This material world is all based on sexual attraction. But only the sage Narayan, because he's Lord Krishna himself, Lord Krishna, of course, is not subject to any of this. And we mentioned about Lakshmi Devi, that he's not attached to Lakshmi Devi in whatsoever. He's completely detached. He's completely detached even from the gopis itself, because when they were feeling very proud during the Rasadas, he left the gopis and went into the forest alone just to be with Radharani. But Narayan, the sage Narayan, is free from the immune attraction of Maya. Even it mentions about Lord Shiva, he got very attracted by Mohini Murti, who is the female incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And this is a kind of reflection on the women. They're actually, in one form, they're a mighty strength of his Maya, the shape of a woman. And we must do everything just to control ourselves. The mentions down here, even the mere movement of eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. And we mentioned about the different stories in life, historical stories, like Cleopatra herself. She was so beautiful, so attractive, that even the Roman emperors fell at her feet, wanting to do anything just to please her. Even like the Great War of Trojan took place because they kidnapped a beautiful princess and took her away. The Great War of Troy took place itself. And in life itself, you can see exactly what happens when there's attraction for a woman. While contemplating on the objects of the sense, one develops attachment for them. From such attachment, lust develops from lust. Anger arises from anger. From anger, there's delusion. From delusion, memory is lost. when memory is lost, intelligence is lost. When once intelligence is lost, and again falls down into the material pool. So it just goes slowly over time. Then finally, when death comes, we're actually becoming capable. We lose our eyesight, we lose our health, we lose our sort of ability to think cleverly in an intelligent way. And then we once again fall down and come to that end of our life, which is known as death, unfortunately. And then once again, we go through that cycle of birth and death. And we want to really free ourselves from this cycle of birth and death by remembering the Supreme Lord, by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam on a daily basis. So there are some more things I wanted to talk about. Unfortunately, because of time, I'll have to stop here. This is a brief summary from this particular chapter. The chapter was entitled Lord Kapala's Instructions and the Movements of the Living Entities. Talks about from child, being in the womb of the mother, growing up, remembering its past lives, remembering the Lord. Once it gets free from this womb, it goes back to its normal traits again, and then in old age, it remembers the Lord again, and then falls down and takes that cycle of birth and death again. So hopefully that answered or gave you a little summary of this particular chapter. There's many things I wish I could have explained much better than I can. I'm sort of I lack a little level of intelligence, lack of devotion. So hopefully, perhaps all of you can enlighten me as well, so you can give me some sort of topics on this particular subject. Thank you very much. Sorry to keep you so long, and I'll pass you on to the devotee who's going to be singing now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for the beautiful summary. So today we have, for the bhajan, we have Mataji Hemangi. Sorry, first of all, can I let you know the name of the bhajan, Kevalashtakam, and sung by Hemangi Radha Mataji, translated by Shyam Govinda Prabhuji. So may I invite Prabhuji to read the English translation first before Mataji sings the beautiful bhajan, please? Thank you. And Krishna Govinda Prabhuji is going to share the lyrics of this nice bhajan. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept our humble obeisances. Thank you for giving us a chance to sing this bhajan. Today we are singing bhajan called Maduram Madhure Bhyoapi, otherwise known as Kevalashtakam. And the author of that bhajan is Nilakant Goswami from his book called Pancharatnam. Prabhu will read the translation now. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. More sweet than all other sweet things, more auspicious than all other auspicious things, the greatest purifier of all purifying things, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. The entire universe, from exalted Brahma down to the lowly clump of grass, is a product of the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. The only thing that is reality, again I say reality, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. That person is a true preceptor or a true father, a true mother, and a true friend also only if they teach one to always remember. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. There is no certainty when the last breath will come and put an abrupt halt to all one's material plans. Therefore, it is wise to always practice chanting from very childhood. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Lord Hari eternally dwells in that place where truly exalted, spiritually advanced souls sing in the mood of pure devotion. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Ah, what a sorrow, what a great sorrow, more painful than any other misery in the world, mistaking it as a mere piece of glass. The people have forgotten this jewel. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. It should be heard again and again with one's ears. It should be uttered over and over with one's voice. It should be perpetually sung and sung anew. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. It makes the entire universe seem insignificant as a blade of grass. It reigns supreme over all in splendorous manner. It is full of eternally conscious divine ecstasy. It is supremely pure. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
Okay, I'll sing the bhajan now. Madhuram Madurebhyo api Mangalebhyo api Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyo api Hare Nameva Kevalam Abrahmasambhaparyantam Sarvam Mayamayam Jagat Satyam Satyam Puna Satyam Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Sa Guru Sa Pita Chapi Sa Mata Bandhavo Api Saha Shikshaye Che Sada Smartam Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Nishwase Nahi Vishwasa Kadarudo Bhavishyati Kirtaniyamato Balyat Hare Nameva Kevalam Hari Sada Vasate Tatra Yatra Bhagavat Jana Gayanti Bhakti Bhavena Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Aho Dukham Mahadukam Dukkada Dukkataram Yataha Kanchartam Vishmartam Ratna Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Diyatam Karno Niyatam Vacha Giyatam Nityam Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Trini Kritya Jagat Sarvam Rajati Sakalo Pari Chidanandamayam Shuddham Hare Nameva Kevalam Madhuram Madurebhyo api Mangalebhyo api Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyo api Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, so beautifully sung. Thank you very much. And the beautiful bhajan, it's so soothing,
It's so
isn't it?
beautiful, beautiful.
It
Thank
is,
you for
yes.
giving us an opportunity to sing, Mataji. Thank
Not
you.
at all. May I say that Krishna Govinda actually requested, Prabhuji actually requested this
Beautiful.
bhajan, didn't you, Prabhuji?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. This particular song, especially the translation, because It's so beautiful. It is so nice. You sang it so nicely, Hema Mataji. Thank you very much.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. We
And
should,
Prabhuji recited the translation so nicely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Thank
Yes.
you, Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks, you recited it so nicely as well. Thank you to everyone as well for joining in for today's chat. So I know it's a beautiful day. You could all be doing something else, but you've all dedicated your life in serving Krishna by listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you very much, everyone. And wishing you all a lovely week ahead. Is there any questions or comments or corrections before we close off? So you all got to remember the Supreme Lord, yeah?
Yes. Let's all unmute and say three loud Hari Bols to Krishna Govinda Prabhuji for the nice class. Hari Bol!
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari Bol.
Bol! Hari
Hari
Bol!
Panchakapa
Panchakapatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.